I think that when people step out and they're in these environments and they have so much opportunity, that paradox of choice can be a little crippling. And so they don't rely on any form of discipline or consistency to elicit change in their life and move forward. So I'm curious on what your thoughts might be on that, what you think about discipline and how people can really be taking action once they have a whole open world right in front of them.
Yeah. And I think that's a big issue within society because as we've seen all over, people don't even know what to do. You could ask somebody that's 40s, 50s, 60s, like they're like, I don't even know what I want to do. I just stayed here because it was easy or something, right? So I think discipline, really, you can't enforce a discipline unless you understand where you're going. And that was the key factor in the military is everything had the Navy had it, they called it your ladder, like what position and job title you should look to achieve to go to the next rank or to grow. And so it was formulated. And when people get out, they don't know what to do. And actually that's something that I started doing was I Tactical Mind Boot Camp, where I talk about your why, your purpose, your mission, and then you can figure out what direction you need to head. And based off of why you wake up and why you want to succeed, you have that purpose. And then like a mission is really your direction. That's going to determine your discipline. And for example, if you wanted to be physically fit, you're going to add in a discipline or something you're going to do daily to be able to work towards that. Okay. And so for me, right, that's how I break it down in a sense. If I were asking you questions, I'd say, well, what do you want to do? And you're like, okay, I want to, you know, expose and show other people's stories. Okay, well, why do you want to do that? Right. And then we dive into that a little bit. And then what that'll do is it'll give us some ammo to push you even when you don't feel like doing it. So discipline really, you have to have an alignment. You have to know where you're heading to, but the discipline behind it is really in the fine actions that happen every single day. And for example, when I owned a farm, I had about 350 bales. They weighed about 50 to 60 pounds each. And I had to put them on a second story loft. And if I left them out overnight, the mildew would settle in on them and then they'd become moldy and you can't use them. And I had nobody else because I didn't realize I was actually going to get that much hay out of my hay pasture to be able to help move all this. So what I did is I had to get it done. That's the force or like the driving factor behind discipline, just to do it to achieve the outcome. A lot of people will do something when they see results, but if you know that something has to get done no matter what, you just keep doing it and trucking away. And there's a time when I could vividly remember feeling like there was just 1,000 bales or like it was just never ending. And I remember I had to keep grabbing these bales and I'd put them on the front loader of the tractor and I'd go back and just rinse and repeat. And I just went on autopilot and then eventually ended up being done. But I had to just keep telling myself, oh, just keep going, just the next step, just go to the next step. And some people can relate if they're a runner and they're running long distances. And in the beginning, you start running and you say, okay, I just need to make it to the end of this block. Then once you get to the end of that block, you say, I got to go to the end of the next block. So if you break that down, the disciplines are just achieving little steps that eventually compound into the bigger mission and goal. But if you don't have that direction or that heading, that's where a lot of people get lost, right? And to give another example is you've heard the story of the tortoise and the hare, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. And so I know we've talked to other people that have brought this up and discussed this as well. And I think that, yeah, slow and steady wins the race, but just think about how fast the rabbit could win if he had a direction. Right. And it's okay to mess up. We actually have to be gracious with ourselves because even myself, I got a growth mindset. So I'm always growing and improving and getting better. But the autocorrects the fastest wins. So if you rush to do something, a lot of people are hesitant to make moves because they don't know the following steps. But remember, just like I said, just run to the end of the block and then assess the next location that you got to run to. So figure out where you got to run to. And then if there's anything that messes up along the way, then you autocorrect, you adjust a little bit, and then you keep going. But that's kind of my mindset behind it is you really need to have a direction where you're heading. So then we can break down what are the intermediate steps or what corner blocks are you running to first, and then, self-assessment.